Thinking. Hello, everybody. I'm sitting here going, it's thinking. And we're live at 1 o'clock for our 1 o'clock show. Fancy that. And today I'm joined by the incredibly talented and award-winning extraordinaire. She's an author. She's a speaker. Oh my goodness, this lady has no bounds to her talents. The amazing Trish Springsteen. Trish, thank you for coming and hanging with me today.
Absolutely delighted, and thank you for those lovely, kind words.
Well, you know me, I try to only speak the truth, and you can tell when I'm struggling with something to say for someone, because I'm like going, and here's this person, because I'm like going, I don't know what to say, but I've known you for a long time, so I know how bloody awesome you are. Now, we're going to talk today about being an introvert, and you're an introvert. I'm an introvert. There are a lot more introverts out there than there are extroverts, and those extroverts sometimes overpower us. How the hell do you get heard when there are these big, boisterous, excitable, gregarious human beings out there who can talk underwater with marbles in their mouth?
Do you know, it's amazing what a little bit of silence and being unique and saying exactly what you need to say when you need to say it precisely, how much that can create a lovely space in that noise. And that's what introverts do beautifully. They do that. Because all of those extroverts out there are going blah, 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 blah. And an introvert will just hold the space.
And they have cut through. And the reason why Trish is joining us today is because Trish has made a career out of helping introverts speak, either public speaking or delivering speeches at weddings and other special family events, because it's something that introverts really struggle with, isn't it, Trish?
Look, it is. It's when you suddenly got to step up in a matter of crisis or a really important situation for you, and you can't often do that again. You've only got one moment in time to do it, and a lot of introverts just say, no, I can't do it, and then spend ages regretting how that one moment just doesn't work for them. And that's, I can do speaking from experience there.
So, well, I'd love to hear about that experience, because it's not easy to stand up, especially when emotions are involved. Would you be open to sharing how you went, okay, I actually really need to say something?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Look, I've never been a person that could speak, and I was never able to speak. And I always talk about the Jurassic period, which is when I left school, way back, Jurassic period, dinosaurs completely. And I just would not speak. I didn't want to speak. I was quite happy reading. I'm an introvert. I'm quite happy being quiet and working from the background and letting everybody else take the stage. And I actually fell into the love of speaking and finding out about speaking accidentally. It was a pure accident. I'd moved from Canberra up to Brisbane, and I was looking for someone where to make friends, because you work all the time and you've got a new place, you just don't make a lot of friends. And someone said, come along to this little organisation. It's just a nice place. It's a club that meets and you can make friends. Yeah, that was great.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it sounded good, except that I never realised that it was a place where you had to speak.
That's sneaky.
Walking into that thinking I could just hug the corners and maybe I'll make a couple of friends. And no, I mean, I'm talking about Toastmasters, and they make you speak. And that's sort of how I fell into it. It was just like by accident. If anybody had said to me I had to go and learn speaking, or I should get some speaking skills to make you confident, I would have just turned tail and ran, because it wasn't on my horizon. So by that accident, which is pretty well serendipity, I guess. I love that word, serendipity. And I just fell into it. So I discovered that I actually could speak because I had mentors, someone pushed me, someone convinced me that I had messages. And I found that the more I spoke, the more confident I can. I'm still an introvert, but I felt more comfortable about stepping up and speaking. And it was just something that I felt, yeah, I can do a bit of this, I can do that, until there was a very big crisis in my situation. And it was in 2007, and we lost our son, Craig, to suicide. Something I would never wish on anybody. It's not a situation that you want to be in. However, you're there. And at the funeral, I had to do the eulogy. Now,
that would have been hard.
It was hard. And you don't get a second chance of that. You just do not. You've got one moment in time to do due justice to our son's life and how the short period of time that he'd been on this earth. I did it. And I've still got people today who come to me and say, I do not understand how you could be so strong to have stood up there and presented that eulogy. And one of the reasons I put it down to is having some speaking skills, because the speaking skills allowed me to take that emotion, but take a step back and be able to organize my thoughts and present what I really wanted to say at that time. And, I'm not saying that was all the speaking skills, but I'm really convinced and know right here in my heart that if I hadn't had those speaking skills, I don't think I would have been able to do as good a justice as I did. Yeah, I probably would have got up and I may have said a few words. They may have been mumbled. They may have been disjointed. They would all still have been from the heart. But to be able to do in that moment and share my thoughts and my feelings and what I really wanted to share is purely because I had speaking skills. And that's what I put it down to. So being able to get some skills to speak, they do give you that head start. And the crisis might not be as extreme as having to give a eulogy at a funeral, although that will come sometime. Most often for a lot of people, that will come.
Well, I think if there's, what did Einstein say? There's, two certainties in life, death and taxes. So at some stage, I think we do. But like even being able to have that, like to speak, you may not be on the stage or, in front of people, but when we are at those critical times, like if it's the funeral of someone or a wedding or a 21st and it's your child or someone that you really know, people want to talk to you, don't they? And you can't hide in the corner.
No, you can't. And they want you to share your thoughts at that time. Birthdays and especially and weddings. I mean, weddings are one of the most disastrous things that can happen. I know we've all been at a wedding where we have heard very interesting speeches. Some that have been like 2 words and some that have probably gone on far too long in a rambled way. And so those are places where the ones that people remember are the ones that people who can get up and put some words together and really share what they're thinking and feeling. And that's why I'm passionate about people having speaking skills, because you've got all this inside you and you need to be doing it. And Annette, yourself, you put yourself way out there because you do the comedy, which is like, oh, awesome. But that
I just threw up in my mouth thinking about it again.
But that is also speaking skills that you've got and the experience that you've got with speaking, you would take to that as well. Because not only do you have to do comedy and the humor and stuff, you've got to be able to string some words together. Although some comedians don't. But yeah, you do.
I have done comedy competitions, and I'm pleased to say that even just learning from you, having heard you speak and knowing you for so many years and tapping into your wisdom, is that I quite often don't make it through because I'm considered too slick and too professional. It's like, go figure. I don't know how that works.
You can't win, can you?
You can't win. I love this. There's a lovely comment here. Love you, Trish. it's hard. I represented my family and did Dad's eulogy last year. Mum asked me to do it. She said that she just couldn't. But and like, who knows? I'm not sure who that person is because they don't have a name there. But there's regret then, isn't there? And compounding on top of all the other things that introverts feel so deeply is
It's
then
always
you've got that, yeah.
It's got a niggle. I'm like, someone may do it for you and read it out for you, and you might write the beautiful words, and someone will read it out for you. But there is nothing more genuine than you reading your words at that time, and it will always niggle on you. Introverts say to me, and I'm an introvert, I know how hard it was. Not only was I an introvert, I was an extreme shy person as well, which you can be an extrovert and shy, you can be an introvert and shy. It's they're labels, but they give you a general idea. The thing is that I've found introverts make really great speakers when they get over that mindset that says they can't get up, and that mindset that says, oh no, look, I just want to hide in the corner. They make really good speakers because they do focus. When an introvert gets up, they want to get those words out, whether it's at the funeral or in a birthday party, or because they're really passionate advocate, and it could merely be that they want to go to P&C association or a student interview and say to the teacher, look, this is what I want for my child. There's something wrong, it's not working. And sometimes that's hard for an introvert to be able to do it. And for an extrovert, sometimes they spew out so much information and they're so upset in that, and they give all that information that they can't get it coherently in there. So the introverts can't get up and the extroverts give too much. And when you're in a situation like that, as I said, especially for your child, if you can focus what you want to say, put that structure there, and have that, and know you can be concise and coherent and competent, you are going to be able to get that point. So for advocates, for just, as I said, merely, you do not have to be on the stage. You do not have to be doing a huge charity or a huge message. It could be just as simple as wanting to go to the school and say, I don't think there's something going right for my child. I want something more important for my child. What is the issue? What can we do? And that is what I think is the day-to-day value of being able to have good speaking skills.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Do you think that we use our, introvert, extrovert as excuses for behaviour or lack of action?
It's very easy when you don't want to do something, when you don't want to step up, and you say, no, I'm not going to do that because I'm an introvert. And yes, look, I got that comment there. It is a spectrum, and there's no black and white. I mean, I would say that I'm an introvert only because I like to recharge. I don't like groups. I don't like large places. It overwhelms me, and I'm quite happy. I have to step out by myself to be able to just get myself together. Now, extroverts love crowds. They love talking to people. They love all that energy. And we can be on that spectrum. I can still do that, but I can still get up and share my message. An extrovert can still have a nice one-on-one conversation with someone in a relationship without feeling that they have got big issues and overwhelming. So it's just it's really knowing who you are, and it's really knowing how you react to situations, how you feel more comfortable, and then knowing what to do to push outside that comfort in the situations where you need to.
Can you give us some tips for how to make not just a good speech? Because I like what you're saying is maybe it's to advocate, or better question, how do you center yourself to be able to deliver the message that you want to deliver?
It took me a long time, and as I said, I got kicked into it and pulled screaming and shouting and thinking. Yep.
Sometimes it's a good way to go.
That's why I love mentors, because that's what mentors, well, from my perspective, how I see mentors, that's what they do. They push people, they support people, and they hold a safety net, but they make them stand up and do it. And the biggest thing I had to get over was my mindset, which was a self-belief that I actually had something worthy to say, that people actually would want to hear what I have to say. And then it's what I call 60 seconds of insane courage. It's taking that deep breath and thinking, you know what? I'm here, I'm unique, I'm a person, and I want to say something because my point of view is valued. What I have to say is something that's important to me, and I need to get it out there. So I had to believe in myself. I had to really realize that if I didn't share something, if even, like if I go back to the funeral, if I didn't share that eulogy for my son, I was not doing due justice to him. If I, as an advocate about something I'm passionate about, don't step up and share my viewpoint, then I am being selfish because I'm not letting other people who may need to hear 2 or 3 sentences or 4 words or 5 words or even just 1 word that could change themselves. So if I let my fear of wanting to get up, my fear that people might not want to hear me, my mindset that I don't have a message, if I had let that stop me, then I wouldn't be where I am today, because I wouldn't be having that courage to share my message. Do I like being in crowds? No. Is my first choice to go out into huge network meetings and stand on huge stages and do brilliant videos? No. But if I didn't do that, you would never know who I was. If I didn't do that, and I know that this has come back and told me there are people who need to hear some of the thoughts I've got to say. They're not mind-blowing thoughts, but they're my views, and they're things that what I might think about might resonate with other people. So I need to do that.
Oh, isn't that interesting? Sandra said she always thought she was an extrovert because she'll chat with anyone and loves people. The lockdown's shown her that she's not, that she actually gets quite overwhelmed. It's been an interesting time, this coronavirus lockdown, because I think many of us have had this introspective time to be able to go, what is it that they really like? Who am I? Yeah, who am I? How do I want to show up in the world?
You know how awesome it is when you actually own who you are? And that means taking responsibility for your actions. It means knowing deep down what your view is, who you are, and accepting it. And then being able to say, this is me. I am me. I am who you see. And I have a viewpoint. I respect other people's viewpoint, but I'm unique. So what I have to say is, from my perspective, is what I need to share. When you know that, it's really powerful.
It is, isn't it? It gives you a really rock solid platform to launch from, because so many people, do you think that they're restricted in terms of that fear that they feel because they're worried about what other people think?
Look, it is. It's one of the biggest things we have, is worrying about what other people think. And you know that was something that I had, just like Dennis said, something I had for ages. And that's probably one of my biggest stumbling blocks. And I think it's one that, for those who are introverts, who are quite happy being with themselves, often do have that issue, is what are other people going to say? What do they think? And so I won't say anything, because it could be controversial. It could be that people will say, well, I didn't think you said that. That's not what I thought you were about. But when you know who you are and you accept who you are, well, then it's okay, because it's one of the biggest things I had to learn. And I guess as a writer, as an author, in our business eventually, is that not everybody's going to like me. Not everybody is going to like me. And you know what? That's freaking okay, because the people who like me are the ones that need, that we're going to get on and we're going to resonate. You know how exhausting it is trying to be with someone when you don't mesh, when your personalities are different, and if that person doesn't like you, I mean, it's okay. It's really okay. I don't have to be liked by everybody. I just don't.
We kind of brought up people. We kind of brought up wanting to keep everyone happy, aren't we?
Yeah. We do. It's that, and it's again also it's that tall poppy syndrome that we have in Australia, that if you do stand out, if you say, look, I don't like this, or look, this is my opinion, or I want to go up to the school and tell them that I don't think what's happening as my child is right. And I'm, not saying you're being aggressive. You need to listen and making communication, but you need to make that first step. But we have this thing in here that, oh no, you shouldn't do any of that, because if you do, you're going to stand out from other people, and then we're just going to go and chop you out, because we're supposed to be all equal. We're supposed to be all the same, and you don't really want to be standing out. Well, I'm sorry, we're not all equal, and we're not all the same, because we are all unique. I'm not Annette. Annette's not me. I'm not my husband, Peter. I'm not my best friends, but I'm me. And what's wrong with owning who I am? Not a thing.
I think that, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Sandra said, do you think this is a process of emotional maturity? So is it something that it takes you a while to learn, or is it something that you can learn quite quickly as a young person? Imagine if you'd learnt what you know now when you were 16.
Yep. And there are some particularly awesome 16-year-olds out there who are very emotionally mature, and I admire them. And these are the ones that you see who are entrepreneurs, who are stepping up, who are saying, with respect, this is who I am. It takes a while. It took me a while. And I also think that while there are some really good emotionally 16-year-olds, I personally do think that our school system nowadays is not conducive to encouraging people to step up and speak out, because we are trying to say to people, no one wins, no one loses. You all get a certificate, and that is not encouraging our people who need to be making those leaps and bounds and inventions. I'm sorry, it's not encouraging people to be who they are, to celebrate their uniqueness and stand up and shine. It is saying we all have to be same. It's mediocrity. And I'm sorry, we are not all the same. So why don't we acknowledge that? And then when our children from today get into that real world is not mediocrity. There are losers and there are winners. And if we don't give our people today the techniques, the strategies to know that you can't always win, but it's okay, because you can do something else and win at that. And we don't give them those techniques, and they face that when they get in that real world, then I think that's why we have a lot of issues that we have today. And it would be too simplistic to say that that's why there's a lot of mental issues, and it's too simplistic to say that's why there may be lots of suicides. But I think it's a contributing factor, because we're not giving them the energy and the foundation to be able to move in a changing world, and to know there are winners and there are losers.
Good question for Mary. Do you see a lack of competition as mediocrity?
That's a really good question. We're getting into some controversial discussion here. So from my point of view, yeah, because I think and I'm not saying we've got this kill everybody and die competition, but I think that competition encourages you to be the best you can. It pushes you to a next level. And you only have to look at history to know that when you push to the next level, this is where our inventions come. This is where our changes come. If we're not being pushed to explore new things, pushed to try something different, pushed to stand out, then where do our inventions come from? I mean, these are my views, but that's how I feel, that when everybody is the same, where does change come? And then if everybody's the same and change comes, who's going to lead that change?
Great point. And I think too, if we go back to what I asked about hiding behind our labels, is that if you use as an excuse not to confront your fears, then you never know what you can accomplish in life, because you live with regret. And who wants to go to their deathbed with going, oh, I wish I'd stood up at my best friend's 30th birthday and told her how much I loved her, or I wish that I'd been able to give that bridesmaid speech at my friend's wedding, but I was too scared. It's incredible how we succumb to fear, isn't it? That we let it hold us back.
It is, but you know what's even scarier? For people to realize they didn't.
Oh, Trish. Oh, smack.
You know, for people who have gone through life and they do that and they never actually realized the potential that they could have had in that life. And I see this. People elect not to step up and they don't even know what they have missed. They don't even know what amazingly awesome things can happen in this life when you reach for your potential. We all wear masks, and it is something that we do as a coping mechanism for some, as a thing for fear. But when you have that courage, you take that mask away and you reach. Now, you're not always going to get where you want to do. You're going to fail. And this is why you need to know how to fail beautifully, because failure is not failure. It's if you learned that if you didn't quite work that way and you look at the lessons, then you try something else, you're always going to be moving forward. And for me, mediocrity, not reaching your full potential, not stepping out of your comfort zone is stagnation. And stagnation is no growth.
Here's another. Oh, Mary, you've hit them with us today. I wonder what it would take for us to embrace our uniqueness to the point where we feel we didn't need to compete against each other to shine, where we would compete only against ourselves. I like the way you think, Mary. I think that would be wonderful. And it's interesting in a business context where we're going like, one of the first things that you're told when you're developing a business plan is who's your competition. It's like, well, why do I have to compete against them? Why can't I just run my own race?
When this goes back to us, how powerful it is when you know who you are and you know what your potential is, you know your strengths and you know your weaknesses, because then you can compete against yourself because you are pushing the boundaries. You do push yourself out there. Competition, and knowing your competition yeah, I agree with you, Sandra. Yeah, that's where you learn. That's where you grow, because that's pushing you. And you learn what didn't work. You learn a lot about yourself in situations. Losing my son, I learned a lot. Getting breast cancer, I've learned a lot. Being knocked back for all sorts of things and jobs and things, I've learned a lot. And that's what I bring to my life now. That's what makes us unique. But being able to push through all of that, your competition, knowing competition in business, I think it's great to know what the other people are doing. But the problem with that is when you let competition make the decisions in your business. And you do that when you start to pay too much attention to that competition and you start to let that little voice say, I'm not as good as them. Why am I good? I like that, Sandra.
I like that too. Yeah. Now I want a disco ball above me. I think that'd be really good. Trish, one of the things I most admire about you is your resiliency and having some insight into your background, which you've shared with us, the death of your son, fighting breast cancer, building a business, is that you're not someone who lets a no or a setback stop you, is that you pick yourself up, you brush yourself off, and you go out there and you use the power that you've developed by believing in yourself to make a difference. And I really want to thank you today for sharing your story with us and sharing your incredible wisdom. It's most appreciated.
Thank you. I love the opportunity. And this is what you get. It's me.
Yep. And we love you. Thank you so much. Tune in again for another incredible speaker. Can't promise you she'll be as amazing as Trish, but we'll do our best. So that's Annette, over and out.
Bye.